Can SEN create an invisible barrier that prevents a child from accessing any further opportunities? Perhaps your child has been identified as special educational needs and adjustments have been put in place. However, it feels that more needs to be explored. Or maybe they are unable to access that school that specialises in their preferred skill set. Or the obvious next steps or opportunities that have been made available to their peers are out of reach for your child in real time. It's as if to say that they could hit a glass ceiling. So in this video, I want to look at some of these factors that create limitations for a child with special educational needs, in an effort to peel back those layers on an unnecessary predicament that a child with special educational needs may experience. As a whole, the term glass ceiling has been used in support of workplace inequalities for marginalised groups. The definition of glass ceiling is the unseen yet unbreachable barriers that keeps individuals from rising to the top rung of their corporate ladder, regardless of their capabilities or achievements. But in this case, creating an invisible barrier that keeps a young person away from being in an important position to be successful in other areas where they wish to thrive in. However, there is a difference between knowing what a glass ceiling is and understanding what creates the limitations for a child with special educational needs from achieving their potential. So let's start by talking about some possible examples of special educational needs discrimination. Special educational children can fall victim to unlawful practices, missed opportunities, lengths of time without support, and the possibility of exclusion. So unrecognised special educational needs, as well as unrecognised learning potential or academic ability, will prevent a child from thriving to the same levels as the majority. A lack of resources and scarcity of funding can determine many outcomes, as mentioned in one of my other videos. So when a child has a diagnosis, has access to an EHCP and access to support and services, it doesn't mean that this is the final destination or that this is as good as it gets. This is where it's just at the tip of the iceberg, because there's so many layers that come with a child with individual needs for everyone to recognise the child as a whole. For some, their special educational needs is recognised, however, their academic abilities and high learning potential is not. And it's definitely not a case of one size fits all. So as a parent, I've advocated for a child that is neurodiverse and has medical conditions. I know firsthand how difficult it is to observe a child experiencing this. What happens to a child when they are limited by their options because they have been identified as special educational needs? According to Wiki, special education is the practice of educating students in a way that accommodates their individual differences, disabilities, and special needs. This involves the individually planned and systematically monitored arrangement of teaching procedures, adapted equipment and materials, and accessible settings. However, the issue appears when policy doesn't meet practice. The acknowledgement between the difference of a child with special educational needs and the majority of their peers is that they can experience their learning in different settings. This could be group sets or different pathway prospects, or their educational experience could be in a different school altogether. So they could be on par and supported in accordance to academic milestones or school behaviour policies. The issue comes when there's something about it that is not elicited. This is where a young person is held back because they are lagging in a particular area of their ability. So in our journey, this has been brought to my attention in different ways and in different times. For example, my child's special educational needs had been recognised. So in parts of his educational journey, my son was put in a group set that could only attain to a minimal level. So when my child expressed his views, wishes and feelings about how he didn't feel impelled to be in that particular group set, he was then told that the decision has been made because he has been identified as special educational needs, that he would stay in that group. And in a similar situation further on within his education, he had applied to do an advanced level course. And further in the application process, it was brought to his attention that this was not the chosen plan for him to go down that route of an advanced level in a subject that he thoroughly enjoyed. And it was put to him that a pathway had been chosen for him because he was identified as special educational needs. Thankfully, that didn't go to plan and he was able to continue on the subject that he chose and managed to get the grade. And as a parent, it is really disappointing to observe the fear within the decisions made as to whether a child can achieve something that is viewed to others as unattainable, rather than something that could be supported and nurtured. If we aren't empowered and left in a state of disempowerment, sadly, it can lead into other areas of a child's development, whether that's issues in behaviour, their mental health, or their overall self-esteem. Because when left to things are just the way they are, it can lead to your child's abilities being overlooked, misunderstood or misrepresented, despite legal legislation suggesting otherwise. The glass ceiling has a profound effect not just on the young person, but on their families and society as a whole. And we need diverse abilities represented in all levels of society, as the world is changing dramatically, so it doesn't pay to miss out on limitations that have been made by others. There's nothing worse than watching a young person that's got so much potential and really has an enjoyment for academia lose their interest in learning. By creating an awareness of the harmful limitations and assumptions made about a young person during their developmental years, we as parents can begin to approach and advocate for our children differently to ensure that their abilities are recognised, supported and nurtured. And if this is something that you're ready to work through, why not contact me? There's a link in the description below. But for now, keep doing what you're doing, stay focused, stay empowered and keep creating progress. Thank you for listening.